Dean Butler, the Almanzo Wilder.
I was 22 years old when I was cast in the program.
As a 22-year-old man who is falling in love with a 15-year-old girl.
You could never do that casting today. She was still a little girl. I mean, there was no hint of a woman there. When the moment came for Almanzo to fall, and that was a big moment. I believe if I have a mission in life, it is to continue espousing the good that this program represents. I read with her, she was very new to casting, and she said to me, it would be 1,000,001 shot for you to get this. And when I went back for a fourth meeting to meet Michael, that was one of the coolest things I've ever experienced. The Michael that I met was not the Michael that I saw on promos. My first impression was, this guy's not Charles Ingalls. There's a lot more going on with this guy.
So we're out there in the dating world. What was that like for you?
Oh my God, it was wild. It was a pretty great time to be me. That's not going to be in this podcast, everybody. We're not talking about that in this podcast.
I have to ask this. I'm sorry, Dean.
I'm astonished at how self-aware a lot of young talent is. They just
Me
know.
and Michael.
There you go. You two guys. Just like dialed in. Yeah.
Welcome to Here's What Happened. If you listened to the last episode with Allison Arngrim, who played Nellie Olson 50 years ago, then you'll know that I love Little House on the Prairie. So getting the chance to sit down and have a conversation with Dean Butler, who played Almanzo Wilder on Little House on the Prairie, is one of the biggest deals ever to me. I'm also joined by my buddy Michael Babineaux. I don't really think of this as an interview. It really is more of a conversation between three people who love Little House on the Prairie. In the first 20 to 30 minutes, we really just talk about why we love the show. Characters, the storylines, our favorite moments. We talk about why the show means so much to us and to millions of other people. Dean also shares all of his personal experiences on the show with the cast members, the set, how he got cast, and we talked about how the show has impacted his life now 50 years later. Now, I spend a ton of time on these videos, and 90% of the people who are watching these videos aren't actually subscribing to the channel. So if you're watching this video right now, if you wouldn't mind, like this video, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. It's the best thing by far that you can do to support me. Also, I read and reply to every comment on my videos. So if you have any thoughts that you want to share while listening to this episode, then make sure you leave those comments below, because I would love to hear what you have to say. Without further ado, please enjoy this conversation with Dean Butler.
All right. So has Harlan, have you brought your clients in here to be beaten up by these guys? Okay.
No.
We can survive anything. Yeah. Okay.
We figured if Dean can get through it, anyone can.
Yeah, anyone can get through it.
Allison just beat the crap out of me.
Well, Allison can beat the crap out of anybody.
Yeah. She did a good job.
How great is she?
I didn't know.
Dean, we're live. We have the
Okay.
cameras rolling, and we're
Okay.
comfortable. Are you comfortable, Mike?
Yeah, we're good.
Are you comfortable, Dean?
I'm comfortable enough. I'm waiting to see how you're going to beat me up.
Harlan, yes, sir. Oh no! Hang on, we gotta.
He gave us a couple tips.
I'm suggesting a way to set up the boom.
Allison, get back to your. Go back to the other room with the podcast here.
We have such a hoot together.
I love it.
Doing our podcast.
I can tell y'all are very, very
Yeah,
close.
we have a good time together. So Weston, Michael.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You're going to be titled, so the audience will know who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
We still look good. We still look like $1 million over here.
You look great, man.
All right. Welcome to the Here's What Happened podcast. I'm Weston Emery. If you watched the last episode with Allison Arngrim, aka Nellie Olson, you'll know that today we have Dean Butler, the Almanzo Wilder, also known as Zeldamo. Which one's correct?
I answer to any name.
Any name.
Now, listen, we mispronounced the name on the program. We said Almanzo. It should have been Almanzo.
Is it true?
Yeah, it's true. No. So that's a whole other story. So, maybe we'll talk about that some other time. That's not going to be in this podcast, everybody. We're not talking about that in this podcast. But listen, it's a pleasure to be with you guys. And,
Yes.
Thanks for having me. And I don't have no problem following Allison. She's spectacular.
She's a tough
I love
talent
her.
to follow.
Oh my God. But yeah, all you need to do is say hello and you're off and running.
Well,
Allison.
that was my, this is what I told Michael coming in. So I'll do interviews with people where they don't have a lot to say. And I'm like, what do we talk about? And I've seen your interviews and I've seen Allison's interviews. And what I told Michael is, I said, I don't see Allison sitting there and me having a hard time finding something to talk about. That proved to be true. There she is right now.
I think we'll just have to steer the conversation rather than make the conversation.
Yeah, no, I think
y'all have
we're
plenty to talk
We're
about.
pretty much on
We're in
automatic
good
all
shape.
the time.
Yeah.
I love
All right.
it.
I am, and you've heard this a million times, just a huge Little House on the Prairie fan. Huge.
Why are you a huge Little House of the Prairie fan?
I love that question. So I grew up on it, as my parents did.
Yeah.
So I was born in 99. This is 20 years after the show wrapped, I believe.
Sure.
In Little House on the Prairie, it is... Now, I don't mean I just grew up on it. I mean, I'm 26 years old. I've watched the show entirely through in the last 2 years multiple times. Mm-hmm. It is... What's the word? It is comforting. It is wholesome. Every episode, you feel like you want to be a better person, right?
Yeah.
And I grew up on this TV show, Little House on the Prairie, and it is it's like you're always aspiring to be more like Charles Ingalls and the characters of Walnut Grove.
Yes.
And something that Allison and I, Nellie Olson, just talked about in our conversation was how the average person so closely relates to the Ingalls family, to trying to do good, but always going through struggles and through thick and thin, they love each other. And what a comfort I feel watching that show and just feeling like it's kind of like a hope show where even when there's a tragedy that happens, which feels like every other episode.
Tragedy is everywhere.
Yeah.
In Little House. What the difference in Little House, I think, and what you are picking up on, which audiences have been picking up on for 52 years now, is the grace and dignity with which problems are addressed and solved. So it is, everyone has crisis.
Yeah.
How we deal with crisis is the difference in who we become.
I love that.
As human beings.
Like the show is very much about crazy things, real things happening to a family, and it being about how they persevere and get to the end, right? Not about what's out of their control, but focusing on what is within their control. It's such a great message for anyone to see and to grow up on, right? Anyone, not just kids, adults. There was this, this was told to me years ago, and it stayed with me. Someone drew this picture for me. Hang on, let me get a drink here.
Okay, I'll sip some matcha.
Perfect. Someone drew this picture for me, and it was talking about that. Like, hey, people get so stressed out, and they let the things that they can't get to affect everything. Their attitude, their mental health, or just their overall outlook on life, and they get so caught up with this white noise of everything that is out of their control. And this picture that was drawn to me, it was this square. It was kind of referred to as a window, and inside the square, all the space within the square is the entirety of the situation. Okay, then there's a little circle in the middle of the square. That circle is what's within your control, right? And what is that circle? So, I mean, you could think of any situation that might be, right? Maybe it's just someone that you're frustrated with this person, right? Maybe it's as simple as you go into the mercantile and you really do not like the lady working at the mercantile, right?
Right.
That's the square. That's the situation. But the tiny circle inside of it is what you can control, which is your attitude, how you choose to love someone regardless of how they treat you, right? Hey, we don't have money. That's the situation. You can't control all of that, but you have a circle of control. And so many people try and focus on everything outside of that circle. Right. This and that, and they try and reach and say, you need to be more like this, and this needs to be here. And they can't do it, and they stress themselves out, and they exhaust themselves, and they fail. But that's not what the Ingalls family does. Mm-hmm. They focus on that circle of being loving and being proud of each other and having their attitudes and just overall a purity. And that's kind of, for me, a big message I get from that show. And I wanted to say that because we were talking about the idea of the show in general there, but that circle of control is such a core message throughout the entire 9 seasons.
Well, no, there's no question. The Ingalls were not always perfect in the way they responded to the Olsons. I mean, Harriet could get under their skin. Mm-hmm. What was so important about it, they could lose their temper, they could get upset, but they could acknowledge, maybe not in the moment, but in a moment close by, that's not the way they wanted to handle that situation.
Yeah.
They could self-teach that situation to themselves, or within the family, the messaging came that you have choices in the way that you behave. I think that's why it's so foundational for so many people, because
that's why we're 52 years later.
There you go.
It's like it's a message that continues to be true year after year after year, generation after
more
generation.
Important, right?
Know,
like
it's larger. It is a Western cultural way of thinking. It is it is global goodness. There is no, I don't think there's any philosophy in the world, whether you, and I don't know for a fact, there could be philosophies that espouse a kind of an evil. There could be that. I don't know that they would ever frame it that way, but I think that the values of fundamental goodness are pretty constant throughout the cultural experience that we have. They may be phrased differently. There are nuances to the way that maybe plays out, but there is a fundamental sense of goodness, and Little House embodies that.
Yeah.
The show feels just like such a good example of who you should aspire to be in so many different scenarios. I think comfort show is very well said. It's just like
it's that
you feel at home in a way. You just kind of watch it and enjoy it, and you're kind of rooting for the family. And
well, it's going to work out, even in the worst of tragedies. It's going to work out. Everyone who matters in the life of Walnut Grove, those, as you suggest, the Ingalls family, who are the vehicles of goodness.
Yes.
The primary vehicles of goodness.
Yeah.
We believe you can trust that even in tragedy, they're going to find a way to be all right. Mm-hmm. That is enormously comforting.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, at the core of why people keep coming back to this 50 years later.
There's this theme of togetherness, and it's the first episodes of season 5. It's As Long As We're Together, part 1 and part 2. It's when they go to Winoka. This is a season before your appearance, your debut. But these are two of my favorite episodes, and I'm sorry that they're not one starring the Dean Butler.
You're going to tell me why those are two of your favorites.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So exactly what we just talked about. I think those 2 episodes back to back, these were directed by Michael Landon, these 2 episodes. They perfectly encapsulate what is wonderful about the show. This family, they leave everything they know and love. They leave their home, and they go to Winoka,
the big city,
where they have to pick up a job they don't know how to do, right? The farmer guy has to go be a hotel whatever, and the wife has to get a job, and they live above this casino, and it's loud, and they're used to their peace and quiet, and they go there to be closer to their now blind daughter, and some other reasons too. And then their friends slowly start showing up into town where they're like, well, I guess we didn't know where to go, but might as well go somewhere where we know somebody. And there's liars and cheaters, and people are stealing from them. And it is everything they loved about their quiet life is gone. Mm-hmm. But in the last episode, part 2, the finale, if you recall, Charles gets beat up by some guys, and he goes in for Mary's surprise birthday party. And he wanted to get her this fiddle. Or no, excuse me. He wanted to get her this hat, but he couldn't afford it for her birthday. So he sells his fiddle. And when she goes to open her gift, she had got word at what he did. And the gift was she had replaced it with his fiddle. And she said, all I want for my birthday is for you to play this fiddle.
Yeah,
and I'm telling you what, as a grown man, sitting in my bed eating ice cream crying. Mary's crying. She says something, about how as long as we're together and I love all of you so much. And she's crying. Laura's crying. Ma's crying. Even the nasty Harriet Olsen's crying. Charles is crying. I'm crying. And the reason
what's most important is that you're crying.
Yes.
I mean, really, that's what's most important.
I'm not even a big crier, dude. And this will get me. And it's because of exactly how it's titled, As Long As We're Together. It's all of this craziness, and they all come together in this final moment of this two-parter and say, as long as we're together, we can do this. And that is the whole show. All of these all this tragedy and this heartache and pain, the message of the show, the core message, as many as there are, is togetherness, and we can get through this.
Yes. No, I completely agree with that. Interestingly, that in that episode, even the Olsens come around after a few moments of disreputable behavior. Expect from them.
Disreputable.
Yeah, always disreputable. Well, not Nels. Nels was the perfect long-suffering husband. But the role that Catherine McGregor as Harriet and Allison played as Nellie Olson were so critical to that yin and yang of what this program needed to be. You cannot have a hero. You can't have positive aspiration without someone who's trying to screw it up.
So
true.
Oh,
yeah.
And Michael understood this so clearly, and it's so amazing. I mean, in an earlier era, this would have been some black-hatted villain who rides into town on a black horse and then in the dark of night and shoots things up. In Little House, as the networks were walking away from that kind of overt violence, he replaces that villain with a snooty shopkeeper and her haughty daughter. And it was so stunning that you could create all this chaos with a little girl in pin curls.
And Allison and I, of course, she was just here, and we just had a great conversation. And for anyone listening, if you haven't already, that episode will be on my channel where you can go back and listen to my conversation with Nellie Olson, aka Allison Arngrim.
Yes.
And we talked about that too, and what her relationship was and like the shoes she had to fill to be this villain, and the importance that was to the story. One thing that you said, Dean, that I liked is that you can't have, I don't actually remember exactly how you said it, but you're talking about how you can't have the heroes without the villain, right? Like it
Right. Drama requires that concept.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And
Right.
are you familiar with like Taoism at all? Like yin and yang?
No, well, I mean, I get the concept of yin and yang.
So,
I have not studied that.
And I haven't really that much either, other than like a class I took in college. But really cool like ideas in there, and it made what you just said made me think of that. So it is yin and yang, and that is one cannot really belong without the other. So if I mess this up at all, forgive me, audience. But my understanding and one outlook in this religion is like it would be by some people offensive to call you beautiful.
Okay.
Dean, you're a very handsome man. Well, if in Taoism, right, a lot of the people would hear that and feel insulted, because to recognize beauty is to recognize ugly, right? And so
that's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
That's a very Gen Z kind of a thing.
Are you offended at that?
Yeah, offended of everything.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think what's interesting about you have this villain. What Michael was able to do so brilliantly is redeem them, so that they could be present and
So
acceptable
true.
to be horrible again next week.
I was just gonna say that was so often the villain is just bad and the hero wins and the villain goes away. But the way that Little House on the Prairie is written is the people that are the villains, you still kind of love them to a degree, and you kind of still want them back.
What they're going to do.
Yeah.
Now, there was, in the very first episode of the series, Harvest of Friends, there was the man who ran the Feed and Seed, and the character's name escapes me right now. He was an Irishman, and he made a wager. Charles needed to build his house, and he needed money, and he made a wager with this man. Now, this man was so awful, he was irredeemable.
Yeah.
Now, this could have been a wonderful character. It was interesting in that particular. Now, of course, Michael obviously had no plans to have this character continue, or he would have redeemed him. Because you can't have someone that's a villain in a series and not have them redeemable.
Yeah.
So that's sort of it's a sure sign that someone is not long. They're going to disappear into the vortex, as we like to talk about on our podcast, and never to be seen again. This guy was awful, and he went away.
Yeah.
The town rallied around Charles. Everything is fine, and the closing line that Laura has in voiceover, something. Essentially, he discovered, or he didn't have a crop, but he had a harvest of friends. And you see that in the episode. That episode and the following episode, Country Girls, totally established the turf that the show is going to live on.
Oh, yeah.
And it was beautiful.
It's
right
so
from the very
good.
beginning.
That first episode that you're referring to, that Harvest episode, really is it is exactly what you said, how it's like the core. And something that you said a moment ago too that I really liked and didn't want to brush off of is, again, not exactly verbatim how you said it, but about how it wasn't the situations around them, but what they made of it, right?
Yes.
In that first episode,
That's everything.
Yeah.
In
that first episode, Charles is hurt. He broke his ribs.
Falling out of a tree.
Trying
to get a kite.
Yeah. And he's trying to, and for the audience, for anyone listening, when we're saying Michael, we're referring to Michael Landon, who played Charles Ingalls, who was the writer, director, producer of the show. And so, in this first episode, he hurts himself and he's trying to provide for his family. He just moved to this town, and he had given his cattle, his ox, and I think most of his farm or some more as collateral, saying, hey, if I don't get this job done in this time, you have all of it. He breaks his ribs, and they weren't willing to. This evil man wasn't willing to. And so it needed to be done by noon on X date. And the hour before, as he's with his broken ribs trying to make it happen, his little girls, Laura and Mary, show up to try and help, and the whole town sees it, and they all start one by one helping and get the job done for him. And he's laying there realizing, I don't have to do this alone.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when you think about the time that Little House premiered, in the fall of 1974, Richard Nixon had just resigned from the White House. Inflation is running at a very high level where the country is really in turmoil.
Yeah.
Divided, heavily divided, much the way the country is now.
Right.
So to have a program that showed a community coming together in the face of a crisis, I just think was a tonic for the American people.
Interesting.
No, it wasn't for everybody. Michael was very clear about this. Little House, he was not making Little House believing that everyone was going to watch this program. He knew fully well that there were a lot of people that would have no interest in what he was doing with Little House.
Yeah.
But Michael was not interested in he didn't care about being all things to all people. He wanted to speak to a very specific audience, and he was very comfortable that audience would come along with him wherever he wanted to take them. And they did. I was 22 years old when I was cast in the program. It was just about 2 weeks before my 23rd birthday. So I was attending college at University of the Pacific, which is in California's Central Valley.
Yeah.
And I was finishing final exams or getting ready for final exams. Now, there's a great Pacific connection here. Pacific was about 30 miles as the crow flies from the spot where Kansas was shot in the original pilot. of the series.
Yeah.
So, and that was premiering
the movie pilot.
The movie pilot.
Yeah.
That was premiering on NBC the week I started at Pacific in the fall of 1974.
Mm-hmm.
So I was 22 years old. I marched through my graduation ceremonies on my 23rd birthday and was on the set 2 days later, starting to shoot.
Wow.
So it was a really nice, it was sort of an incredible transition.
And you had grown up on the show, or like, were you super familiar?
No, I was not familiar at all. I had never watched an episode. I knew what it was.
Sure.
Because I watched a lot of promos. You know, if you're watching NBC, there were a lot of promos for Little House.
My assumption is the show was probably so big that it would be hard to not know what it was.
Yeah. I didn't know, like, I couldn't figure out, having not watched it yet, I couldn't figure out why Michael Landon would trade in being like this great romantic hero on Bonanza. With a girl in every saloon and whatever, some beautiful woman there for him everywhere he went, and the shoot 'em up big fight guy. Why he would trade that to be a poor dirt farmer, I really struggled with that. I just, what is he thinking as he does this? Having never seen it. Now, during the summer when I started shooting, I started watching it. I started watching it in reruns, and the episodes that I saw during that summer just so confirmed in an instant why he made the choice he made.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know him yet. And I knew Michael as a creative, not as a friend. So, I watched him work and I saw what the values were that he was presenting. And Michael's desire to tell those kinds of stories were a perfect fit for the vehicle that Little House was. Based on the source material, the original books that Laura Ingalls Wilder wrote, Michael adapted the feeling of those books into this beautiful, beautiful series.
Yeah, and I've never heard, what a great description that you just gave. I love that. I have never heard what you said a moment ago about, or thought about, I guess. Again, I was born in 99. I'm as familiar as I am with the show. That starts in 2005, as early as I can remember, 2004, right, when the show started for me. So I never thought about how that show conformed to the way the world was at that time, and like the politics and the world around it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
You were mentioned, was it Richard Nixon?
Yes.
And, it's like you kind of add that context to the beginning of the show. It's like, wow.
Yeah, and gas lines. America was in gas lines because there was the oil crisis. It was the first time oil broke $1 a gallon. I mean, before this happened, gasoline was 27 cents a gallon. In California, and I mean, in California, it was 27 cents a gallon. Yeah. So
it was a long time ago.
Things changed. America was really in a crisis, and into that crisis rolled the covered wagon with Ingalls on it into this little town of Walnut Grove. And it was this salve and comfort for the American psyche.
Dean, you asked me, why do I love Little House on the Prairie? Do you love Little House on the Prairie?
Yes.
And why?
I think Little House has, now for someone who knew nothing about it, so the Little House books were not read in my family. I had never seen a full episode of the show until I started working on it. But I really truly believe where an actor's experience, or how actors occur in a room when you come in to audition for something. Actors bring their whole lives in the door with them when they come in. You carry your life on your shoulders. You carry it in your eyes. You carry it in your attitude, how you greet people, how you sit down in a room. And so much of that is completely out of our control. Casting decisions are made in about 8 seconds.
Right.
You may not get the job if someone looks at you in 8 seconds and says, you're perfect for this. That doesn't mean you're going to get it.
Are you referring to like just the idea that like a first impression is made within those first
Absolutely.
8 seconds?
That first impression in a casting situation is the same first impression that an audience is going to have.
Yeah.
And it's a casting director's job to make assessments about what an audience is, how an audience is going to react.
Sure.
And I think that actors carry their whole lives in the room when they come in. And I think, and I don't know that I really even realized. Now, I know how I was raised. I know the environment I was in. I know what kind of family I came from. I understand all of that. How Michael and Susan could have known that the way that Susan McCrae, who was our casting director, actually Susan Sukman then, before she married our producer, Ken.
So Michael Landon and Susan. Right. I'm sorry, go on.
How they knew that this guy sitting in front of them that they'd never met before was perfectly in sync attitudinally with what their show was about. I wasn't thinking in those, I'm thinking I want to be as most young actors do, or if you're trying to figure out who you are as an actor, there's some things that transcend what you think you are. They come in the door whether you want them to or not. And that's what Michael and Susan saw. And was who I was at my core. I'm so grateful for that. And I feel in some ways, I believe if I have a mission in life, it is to continue espousing the good that this program represents, what the source material represents.
What a cool legacy to chase,
dude,
and to have behind you. What I'm curious, and you're speaking on it a little bit, I want to hear more of is you're talking about these are your values and what you care for. Right. So when you talk about yourself, how old were you when you went and auditioned?
22.
22 years old. As a 22-year-old man going into this
and role. I had no idea what I was thinking. This is really the thing that's so incredible. At 22, I didn't have the perspective that I have at nearly 70. I didn't have that perspective that no one does at 22.
Yeah.
But there are things that you carry that you don't know that you're carrying.
Interesting.
Sure. And now, you're saying your perspective has changed and maybe you've understood some stuff.
Now I understand it. My
you understand
has not changed, but my understanding of it has.
Great. Got it. So now that you understand that more, that 22-year-old Dean Butler had these values and aligned and reflected the values of what was inside Little House on the Prairie.
Yes.
I want you to speak on that a little bit. What about Dean Butler and your values and what matters to you reflects the values and principles that are taught in the show Little House on the Prairie?
Well, let me go back to sort of the macro of how I was raised a little bit.
Please,
so I was raised in a fifth-generation California family. My family had been in California since before the gold rush in 1849. Wow. I was raised in a country environment near San Francisco, amazingly, on a ranch that had been in my family since 1885. We had horses on the place. There was no electricity. There was no running hot water. This was in the 1960s.
This was you growing up?
This is me growing up.
Wow.
So we ate at a round table with a big Lazy Susan in the middle of it. Mm-hmm. For those who don't know what Lazy Susan is, it's like a pedestal in the middle of the table where the food is placed, and everyone you learn your Lazy Susan etiquette as you move the table. We did dishes at night. There were no dishwashers. We did the dishes at night together in the kitchen. We played Parcheesi and dominoes, and at night there was no television. There was no electricity growing up there during those years. I grew up in this multi-generational family experience. We all had our chores. There were jobs that we were expected to do every day. We were expected to participate and be involved. Mm-hmm. As children, we were a part of what made the day work for everybody. And when you do that, at the time, it's like as a kid, you don't want to do all that. You'd rather.
I don't want to do it as an adult.
I'd rather be in the swimming pool. I'd rather be doing anything else other than, sweeping and doing dishes and washing windows and, building fences and, I'd rather be doing other things.
Yeah.
So, when you grow up in that way, you develop a kind of you may resist it as a small child, but it gives you a kind of a work ethic. It gives you a sense of responsibility. And I think that coming into Little House, I got it.
Yeah, there's part of you that
I just got it. It didn't have to be explained to me.
Yeah.
I understood what Michael was trying to do. Now, interestingly, Michael had not been raised that way.
Michael, I'm sorry?
Michael Landon.
He wasn't raised that way.
No, he wasn't raised that way. Allison had not been raised that way. I mean, she wasn't a country girl. She was a city girl. Michael was a city guy. But what Michael did understand, or he had a strong instinct about the need of people to communicate with each other, to partner with each other, to support each other in moments of difficulty. And I think he used his very challenging upbringing to craft the life that he wished he'd had growing up. I got to step in to the life I had.
Wow.
wow.
So I understood what that life was. Not only in terms of the storytelling was obvious enough, but it was the setting I got.
Yeah.
It was being around the horses and in the dust and working with a saw and hammers and doing stuff. I got all that.
You bring up, and I had thought of this question earlier, so it's kind of, you brought up like being with the horses and that stuff. There's scenes where in the show, either you or a stunt double, or I'm not sure who is
generally, always the double in a yeah.
Were you pretty? I mean, could you hold your own on a horse, or was that like?
No, I was absolutely fine on the horse,
and that you knew ahead of time.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I knew that coming into it. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I've been riding since I was 4 years old.
Okay, so I didn't know. Same thing with was that also true for the other actors and actresses?
I don't know that was true for everybody, but it didn't matter if you did or you didn't, because that's why, film. It would have been nice if everybody had that understanding, but Allison will tell you that she had terrible fear of horses. She didn't want to be around horses. And yet she had to get on a horse and, and pretend to, whip Bunny around and gallop away on the horse and all that. It wasn't her.
Yeah.
But the audience didn't know that. The audience could believe that it was.
Yeah.
Well,
Allison
and I
galloping away on
did.
the
So
horse.
that's why.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a couple times where you can, that's
of course.
But
if you're looking closely.
yeah. But that was just a question I had thought about, where I was like, I wonder if you actually just knew how, or if they trained you, or
the wagon part I had not done. I had not driven a team. So that was, I had my first day, jitters with that of not knowing what I was doing. But on the other hand, as is the case in all production, these horses are beautifully trained.
Sure.
The Wrangler is just off camera where the horse is supposed to go.
And these horses have probably been in.
Horse is going to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you really screw up, maybe there could be a problem. But it's, the reason there are doubles is because you can always get another double. I mean, maybe it won't be convenient, but you can always get a double if something bizarro happens with the wagon, or if the horse stumbles and falls, which could happen. A wagon, an axle breaks, the wagon turns over, it gets out of balance. You don't want the actor being damaged, because you need the actor
100%.
to work in the next
100%.
scene.
Before Little House, did you act in anything else, or what?
I had done. So I grew up in the San Francisco area, as I said. I started working professionally in San Francisco, which was, at the time, the Streets of San Francisco was shooting there, a lot of commercials shot in San Francisco because the Bay Area is a beautiful place. The first big thing that I did was a movie of the week for CBS called Forever, and it was based on the Judy Blume novel Forever. And if you're familiar with that, it's a wonderful adolescent novel targeted for girls primarily, but it's, first love. It's a first love experience. And I did this with Stephanie Zimbalist. And the director, I got the opportunity to be the male lead because the director was a local director.
Yeah.
A wonderful director named John Cordy, who was part of the Mill Valley, that was the George Lucas and Francis Ford Coppola and Phil Kaufman and these directors that were Mill Valley based. John was part of that. And so he did movies and movies of the week and so on. And I'm so fortunate that he saw something in me.
Wow.
So that's one of those cases where we're talking about casting, and I met with the casting director, and they met a lot of local people. But her name is Mary Goldhammer, and she was very new to casting, but she had a sense of. She went on to cast Amadeus, and she cast Alien, and she cast a lot of big stuff.
So she had no idea what she was doing.
She had an instinct for what she was doing. But what the point was is that I read with her, and she said to me, "You're perfect for this.
Wow.
It would be 1,000,001 shot for you to get this because they generally are going to cast this out of Los Angeles. They're going to shoot here, but
Then you were in San Francisco.
But I was a local hire in the Bay Area. But she said, "I'm going to fight for you because you're perfect for this." And she did. And John Cordy met me and set me up to spend time with Stephanie Zimbalist before we did a screen test together, and it worked.
How did you find out that you got the chance to audition?
She called me. She just said, she was this wonderful sort of Jewish matron, New Yorker, sweetheart. I have a wonderful meeting for you with Michael Landon. It's just like.
And so,
Great.
you're. Oh my gosh, wait! I have a shot, right? 1 in a million might have become
I'm going to get in the room.
I'm going to get in the room. So it was 1 in a million. Now it's 1 in 1,000, right?
Yeah, actually, it was probably, I think.
1 in 10 million.
That wasn't that much. There wasn't that much at all. I just remember the first time I came in the office to meet Susan Sukman, there was a stack of pictures a foot high on her desk. Now, I don't know who those pictures were.
It was all you.
I don't know who, I have no idea. But I went back a second time to meet with her, and the stack of pictures was half that high. And then I went back the third time to meet her, and the pictures were like 2 inches high.
Wow.
And when I went back for a fourth meeting to meet Michael, there were 4 pictures on the table.
And yours was one of them.
I was one of the pictures on the table, clearly. I didn't see the pictures, but I saw there were 4 pictures on the table. So now, I don't think I talked to Susan about this when I was working on my book, and I said, how many people did you see? And she said, she told me that she saw about 10 different actors for this. So now Ina, who was at the, it's like William Morris, ICM. Mm-hmm. It was that level we're talking about. So when someone like Ina Bernstein calls Susan McCrae or submits a picture from ICM, Susan's going to look at that picture. And then she could see, I didn't have much of a resume, but Forever was on my resume.
Wow.
Michael liked to hire people that had very little experience. He didn't want them to have this big body of work underneath them. I think, look, as a practical matter, if you got the right person, it was going to be cheaper to hire someone who was less experienced, which totally makes sense. Yep. But also, the great thing about it was that the audience is discovering you as a new face.
Yeah.
And you are in this world. Yeah. There's no preconception about you.
You said that there was the time you walked into the room and there was 4 pictures on Michael Landon's desk.
Yeah.
Was that the first time you met Michael Landon?
Yes.
So the first time you meet Michael Landon, it's like you're going through these producers and every single...
The casting director 3 times, and then Michael on the 4th meeting. Michael made all the decisions.
So it's like I mean,
This
walking
is it.
Yeah. So I did this with Allison, but I just want to feel the room as you walk into this.
Allison had a very different experience.
Okay. Yeah. But I want to hear yours. So you walk into this room. You knew Michael Landon was going to be there.
Right.
You know who he is. You're very familiar.
Yes. But the Michael that I met was not the Michael that I saw in promos for Little House on the Prairie. There was no dog-eared boots, and there was no, rough-hewn cotton shirt and suspenders. And if there was a picture in the dictionary next to a definition for big-time television star, Michael's picture
Really?
would have been there.
Wow.
So Michael was in his life was everything you would expect a glossy superstar in television to be. So the first thing I remember was the Carrera sunglasses.
That's exactly what Allison said.
And the hair.
Yeah.
Like the hair, like perfectly coiffed, the deep dark tan. He'd been in Hawaii. He went to Hawaii during every off season, stayed at the Kahala Hilton with his family. He was deep tan. Michael didn't wear makeup. He didn't have to wear makeup. They put some powder on him. And then there was a big gold chain around his neck with a Star of David. There was,
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, the cigarette in his teeth. The shirt, the tight denim shirt opened down to here, so the chest fully exposed, the spray-on jeans, the snakeskin boots, this like 10,000 watt smile.
Yeah.
When you met him.
Wow.
And my first impression, because I had to have a first impression too.
8 seconds.
My first impression was, this guy's not Charles Ingalls. He may play Charles Ingalls, but there's a lot more going on with this guy than Charles Ingalls.
Yes.
And there was.
Yeah.
But he was charming in the room. He was funny. He was engaging. He got down, as I read with Susan, he got down on the floor. So he was sitting on a couch. She's sitting like where you're sitting. He would have been sitting right there, got down low. And I remember him, as I'm reading with Susan, is he's got his hands up in front of it and he's looking at me through his hands.
As if it was a...
Framing.
Yeah.
Putting me in the box, as you'd like to describe.
In the window.
Yeah,
cool.
I was in his window in that moment. That was one of the coolest things I've ever experienced, because you can see him out of the peripheral vision. You can't not see him. You know he's there.
Do you remember what you read?
It was the scene. It was the scene at the end of Back to School, at the very last scene after the mud fight where Nellie and Laura fight in the mud.
Was it inside the house?
It's in the living room. And it's that scene.
So you're
where
talking to
Laura.
So are you reading this with Melissa Gilbert?
No.
Did
I
you
never met Melissa.
Until you were after you're hired?
Yeah. Before our first day of shooting is the first time.
They didn't do like chemistry tests?
There were no chemistry reads.
Wow.
No. Michael didn't, I think, Michael was supremely confident about what he was doing. And I think everyone understood.
Yeah.
He looked at people and he said, this is going to work. And he staked his reputation on it working.
Yeah.
The instruction that I got the night before coming in, and this was, for me, a terrifying instruction, but absolutely the right instruction, was whatever you do for Michael, don't act. Just be you. He wants to see you.
Wow.
If you're, as a young actor, you're not exactly sure what you're bringing, because you don't know at 22.
Yeah.
I didn't know at 22. Now, maybe other young people know. I'm astonished at how self-aware a lot of young talent is. They just
Me
know.
and Michael.
There you go. You two guys, just like dialed in. Yeah,
You heard it here first,
yeah.
folks.
You're dialed in. So
Give us a call, Michael.
yeah. Well, wish you could.
I wish you could.
Right. 30. He'll be gone 35 years.
Wow.
On July 1st.
I was gonna say it was 90s, right?
Yeah. But I tell you what, if he was around, he would be blowing up our stuff all day long. Oh, Michael's calling again.
Yeah, right. He just was. He was a presence, and he was bigger than life. You could feel him walk into a room, You could feel him walk onto the stage.
Man,
in a dark stage, you knew he'd come in the door.
Now, you met him. He has this outstanding charisma. This is a common thing that I hear from everyone who describes Michael as just outstanding charisma.
Incredible charisma.
Right. Can't miss.
Yeah.
How did that translate to film day?
He was just really easy. I mean, I think Michael was so confident in what he was doing. Mm-hmm. He knew he could make any situation work. I mean, he was very clear. He didn't say it on the first day. I wish he had, but he said to me early on in that first episode, he said, I'm never going to let you look bad. I've got my eye on everybody. Mm-hmm. Everyone's going to come off great here.
Yeah.
And that was his commitment.
Yeah.
He had the power to do that because he controlled the writing.
Yeah.
He controlled the shoot,
editing, the directing,
and he controlled the edit.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't working for whatever reason, he'd cut around it.
Yeah.
He'd wait for the moment where it was working, and you cut there.
Fascinating.
He had an enormous amount of control, and I mean, the network had nothing to say about anybody being cast. In the beginning they did, but not by the time I came along.
Another understanding I have of Michael Landon is, as much as he was focused on and had relationships with people, and he was fun and energetic and charismatic, he also was a leader in the sense of, hey, we got to get the job done.
Yes.
And so there was a stern and different side of him. And I had heard, and I was hoping you would share the story of your first run-in with that on like the first shoot.
Mm. So I on my first scene, which was in the buckboard with Laura, coming to meet, catch up to Laura. She's running home from school in the morning after she's seeing Almanzo drop off Eliza Jane, his sister, at school, and I catch up to her on the road, and that's my first scene, talking to her, where he decides that, or they decide together, he's going to call her Beth, and they're going to be friends, and all of that. That was the first scene.
That was your very first scene.
First scene.
And so you're shooting with Melissa Gilbert.
With Melissa, right? I just had met her, and. Which is perfectly appropriate. I mean, the first time you see her is the first time you see her.
I'm sorry. That's your first scene ever.
That's my first scene.
What?
Right.
And that's and you met Melissa Gilbert, Laura Ingalls.
Minutes before that.
Unreal.
Yeah, minutes before that. I met her in the makeup room that morning. She walked into the makeup room as I was getting made up, and she was coming to to check out the new guy, and she was delightful. I mean, she was very extroverted, totally in charge.
Melissa Gilbert was.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't
At 15 years old, she was in charge. I mean, anybody who has spent any time around Melissa knows when Melissa's in a space, she's in charge.
And what a talent she was.
Yeah, I mean, an exceptional child actress.
Wow. I know she really was. Yeah. So was a lot of them. So was Allison. So was Melissa Sue Anderson.
Melissa Sue Anderson
exceptional.
was extraordinary.
Extraordinary. Yeah. I mean, what she did at the in season 4, the end of season 4 with Going Blind, there's a reason that episode has won so many awards and has resonated with so many people, is because who else could have done that as a child actress to have made you feel? But it wasn't just her; it was also Michael Landon. It's
the number 1 episode in the history of the series.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll be waving as you drive away is the number 1. Is the absolutely tip-top number 1 episode, and there are any number of others that are like hovering right there, but that's number 1.
Yeah, I'll be waving as you drive away.
One quick caveat between talking to you and talking to listening to Allison, I can't wait to go home and watch Little House on the Prairie. It's gonna just. I'm already like thinking ahead.
You know what?
Should I start at season 1?
But in the follow-up,
Sorry.
no, that's
Keep
so
going
true. The follow-up episode to that. So that's the last episode of season 4, and the first episode of season 5 is the 2 of my favorite 2 episodes that I told you that as long as we're together, part 1 and part 2. But extraordinary talent in the entire show. I mean, you can talk about all the actors and actresses on the show. You can talk about, I mean, as Allison and I did, talking about I just blanking on her name.
Catherine McGregor.
I mean, unbelievable.
The great Catherine McGregor.
The great
She's so
Catherine McGregor.
great.
Yeah. Catherine was so, as was Allison, incredibly important to the overall tone of the program.
Well, that's what I said.
Essential to that.
It's what I said. It's because the beauty and the purity, it's exactly that Taoism stuff I'm talking about, that you can't recognize the beauty without the ugly. The purity of the Ingalls family is heightened by watching the nastiness that is
of course.
Mrs. Olsen.
Yes. The Olsens amplify evil to it's cliched. I mean, you just can't quite believe the stuff that's coming out of their mouth, but they're fully invested.
They're so invested.
They're fully invested, and the reactions you get are the reactions anyone would have to that if you experience that in your real life. The Ingalls give visual acknowledgement of that,
and you know,
and they try and be kind.
Another thing I love about the different personalities and the characters in the show, they're so relatable in a way. And my family, we all grew up watching Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah.
And we would refer to people outside of, like, people we knew wherever, and we'd be like, oh man, they reminded me of this person from the show. Like we'd always say, my sister, for example, she would always remind us of Nellie sometimes with how she would act.
One of those.
Shout out
Kayla. But she is,
everyone knows a Nellie.
And everyone loves Kayla.
Everyone knows a
But
Nellie.
she's not Nellie anymore.
She's never really been Nellie.
No, I mean his sister.
Oh, your sister. I can't. You know better.
But there would be people we'd know, other families we'd know, and we'd be like, gosh, that lady is just like Miss Olsen, and it's so funny how that show would just convey such a broad image, and everyone could relate to it to a degree.
Yes. Totally.
Gosh, it just
totally. I mean, look, it wasn't everybody's cup of tea.
Sure.
I mean, there are people who said it's too soft, it's too sentimental, it's too whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but my feeling, having been around it for 52 years, is if you give it enough time, it's going to put a hook in you.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's going to get you at some point. You don't know what episode it's going to be, but something's going to touch you deep down in your heart that you've been there before. Yeah. And it's going to hook you, and you are going to be moved.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, one thing that you said in the show that's always kind of really hit home for me, it's also in that Wilder and Wilder episode. You mentioned that, I think men should take care of the horses and women need to stay in the kitchen. and I've really always held on to that.
That's why I love Little House.
Last words.
And was that kind of like an ad lib thing?
Yeah.
I mean, where did that come from?
That wasn't even.
I did no ad libbing on Little House.
That was actually what you auditioned on, and they said you're hired.
That's it. Now, I did do something else where there was
funny.
a movie that I did where I walked in with an attitude about what I was going to be asked to do. And it was an attitude that was totally in contrast to what the movie was about. But the director said, that's perfect, read with that. And she hired me. And
really?
And 2 hours later, I mean, it's like, that's the right vibe. So if you bring something, you just, look, sometimes it's not going to work. Sometimes it is going to work. But it always is better to be authentic.
Yeah.
Which you did right there.
In that moment,
that
I was
line
authentic with that
specifically.
director, and that, I mean, the wrong director, that could have blown me out of the room.
Yeah. True.
You know, but it didn't. I think that Michael rewarded authenticity. I have grew up with massive respect for women, and so that line.
Irk you a little
that
bit.
line was probably, did not maybe fully reflect my sense of the.
No, I totally know it didn't. I just
We're
thought it
having
was
fun
funny.
with
I
you.
had to.
I mean, he certainly does it now.
Yeah.
It may have more than not then. Then.
He's had a few years to learn.
I've had a few years to think about it. I've been married for 25 years. I have a very different feeling about that than I did.
I want to ask, we were on the topic and then I think I pivoted, my bad. I want to ask about you and Melissa Gilbert, and your relationship, and this is something I think about when I watch it. So you're a 22-year-old man and you are cast going into this role as a 22-year-old man who is falling in love with a 15-year-old girl. Well,
Almanzo's falling in love with Laura, not initially. She's instantly in love with him.
And then a year later.
Almanzo's an object for most of the first season. I mean, it's just like, it's like he's the shiny object around Walnut Grove that she can be infatuated with.
Yeah.
The way this had to be played is until Almanzo really fell for her, there could be no trifling with Laura.
No. Yeah.
I mean, this is not something. This is an all the way thing.
He can't just be flirting for fun. She's 15.
There is no way that works.
Yeah.
She can flirt.
Yeah.
She can aspire. She can dream. She can have all that. But the second he responds, now we're in a different territory. And I think that Michael was incredibly conscious of that in the way that he crafted this. So when the moment came for Almanzo to fall, and that happened in an episode called Sweet 16,
the end of season 6.
The end of season 6, nearly the end. That was a big moment. That was a big moment for him, and it was the realization, or her dream that this could work out was going to pay off at the end of season 6.
And so so I have to ask this. I'm sorry, Dean. Today, that might look a lot different than it looked then.
You could never do that casting today.
You can't do that today. So
you could never do that casting.
I mean, did your buddies make fun of you? Here, you can just throw it over.
No, I think my any friends I had were so blown away that I was in this situation. I don't ever recall being teased or by my peers.
Today you do. Now, even if it's not a bad thing,
today it was but I think people understand. People understand what it was.
Yeah.
Michael needed this played right down the line. This had to be crystal clear to the audience the second the light went on for him.
Yeah. It was in the buggy.
This was the girl for him.
Yeah.
The woman for him, even though it's just hard to imagine looking at Melissa at that time that you could see her as a woman, but there was no hint of a woman there when I met her.
She was a girl.
She was a girl. And even with the different dress and the shoes with a little heel on them and her hair up and all that, she was still a little girl. Yeah. And she was just, she was barely, when we did those scenes, she wasn't 16 yet.
Wow.
And at the end of the season, you guys share a kiss.
Yes.
And
well, in that episode, Sweet 16 episode, there's the first kiss.
And my understanding is that was her first kiss ever.
No, it wasn't her first kiss ever. But that's the story that's
the story I've heard,
that's told. Yeah.
But that's not.
I mean, look, I think on our set, appropriately aged young boys and girls were experimenting behind the church.
Oh man.
I think that there was some kissing going on to just see what
you think or you know. I don't know.
I didn't see it, so
handsome Almanzo has no clue.
I have on good authority that there was some wholesome experimentation going on.
So let's do a little name dropping here.
No name dropping.
We won't hear. Audience, plug your ears. Go ahead.
No name dropping. I'm just not going to talk about
Well,
that.
Dean Butler.
Because that's not my story to tell. That's somebody else's story to tell.
Whose story would that be?
Well, it would be Melissa Gilbert's story to tell. If she wanted to tell that story. And she's been very clear about how she felt about that time.
I'm laughing. I'm sorry.
So when the cameras turned off, what was y'all's friendship like?
It was very professional.
Okay.
I mean, there was really no relationship between us at all. It would have been completely inappropriate to have any kind of relationship.
Did you feel like you had even a friendship?
I mean, we had a professional camaraderie.
Yeah.
We know. I mean, look, Melissa gets massive kudos for making this work.
Yeah.
If she'd melted down on this, and she could have, as a 15-year-old kid, overwhelmed by something that she didn't understand, she had no experience with, she could have melted down. She didn't. Melissa was a total pro about the way she did this. The way she described it to me, and she's described it to many people, she just put on her Prairie dress and was the Laura that she was supposed to be.
Wow. And at such a young age.
That's what she did.
At such a young age to do
that. At a young age, the fact that she was able to do that and do it, I never had any indication in working with Melissa that she was in any way uncomfortable.
Wow.
I never had any sense of that.
Yeah.
She seemed totally in command of what we were doing.
Who were you closest with on set?
I think probably Catherine McGregor was probably the
Really?
one. I mean, Catherine was like the Pied Piper.
It seems like that's kind of
I mean, Catherine was she was a force of nature, and she loved to talk. She loved to talk about acting. I mean, Catherine's whole world was acting. And she was fascinated with it. She was fascinated with the craft. She was fascinated with everything about it. She loved.
Yeah.
And so there were we went to movies together on weekends. We had meals together. Cool. There was a lot of time spent with Catherine. And there were other people I spent time with too, but Catherine was really special that way.
And for the audience, Catherine McGregor, we're talking about
Mrs.
Olsen. Yep.
Yeah. Allison wrote in her book that I would followed Catherine McGregor around like a puppy dog, or maybe that I was just like.
I don't know about the kissing behind the church.
There was no kissing behind the church. There was no kissing, but Catherine was an enormously compelling human being.
That's awesome.
Yeah, cool. She really was. I mean, Catherine was very attractive in the sense that she was so full of life.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
you couldn't not be drawn to that.
Yeah. I mean, you can see that. I mean, she was just so dedicated to her role.
Incredible.
So much energy.
The talent is unbelievable, as we've already discussed there.
Yes.
You're a good-looking guy going to the set, and you were charming the hearts of America, and blah blah blah. As we're young guys, we're single, so we're out there in the dating world. What was that like for you? You started on Little House on the Prairie. Did the dating world?
Oh my God. It was wild.
Oh man.
No, I had a great time.
The back of that church, man.
Great time. No, nothing behind the church.
I'm kidding.
Reverend, what was his name?
Yeah, right. No,
Yeah,
it was a pretty great time to be me. I can tell you. It really was fun. It was fun. I think I was respectful.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of opportunities.
That's awesome. Hey, who doesn't want some opportunity?
That's all you can ask for is opportunity.
So if you said, "Hey, let's go on a date," they'd say, "Yeah."
I would say it was pretty much a green light.
Yeah.
That wasn't always the case. I mean, there are people who said no, or people that
like Catherine McGregor.
Catherine McGregor said no. Yeah. She would go to movies with me, but she said
it wasn't a date. Yeah.
Laura said yes.
Yeah, Laura said yes.
Laura wouldn't have been asked.
Yeah, she was too young.
I would not have asked.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where there was a clear line of demarcation there.
Well,
me.
Dean
just wouldn't have asked.
Dean, this was something important for me to come. I'm wondering if you can sign this for me. What this is...
Absolutely not.
Well, let me tell you the story. Maybe you'll change your mind.
Okay.
Talk about all the girls who had crushes on you back in the day. One of them is my twin sister, Whitney.
Oh, okay. Whitney? Okay.
Whitney is her name.
Weston Whitney.
Whitney, we're
That's
twins.
cool.
Yeah, Whitney and
Good for
Weston.
you, yeah.
And she would have loved to have been here. She couldn't make it. But she gave me her diary from 2007.
Oh, wow.
And in this diary, she thought your name was Almanzo. E-L. But she wrote, I love...
How old was she there? That was like...
She would have been 8 years old.
Oh, my God.
Roughly.
That's great.
For anyone who can see it. But she
I
wrote
love
this.
Almanzo.
And then on the page before...
That's awesome.
It was... she did a heart like what Laura did on the tree, but she put, instead of... And your initials EW for Almanzo Wilder and WE for Whitney Emery.
cute.
I'm wondering... I brought this from Michigan, and I was wondering if I can...
Oh, of course I'd sign that for you. My
we gotta do
God,
this
for
page in the
for Whitney.
Well,
Yes.
8-year-old Whitney.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Wherever you think is a...
And so WHITNEY.
Yeah, I write her a little note.
That's too
Yeah.
good, man. I love Almanzo.
Almanzo.
So I just said, Whitney, my only love. Dean Butler Almanzo.
I love it.
How about that?
Do me a favor. The next page is a little initial on the next one, too. Yeah, there's where it says, I love Almanzo.
Oh, okay, I did. Oh, no, okay, yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, perfect. Thank you, Dean.
That's so funny.
What was
I love
the girl's
you,
name?
too.
Something Sue.
Brenda
Sue, my
Brenda
only
Sue
love.
Longworth.
My
Yes.
only love.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Oh, that seriously, that is gonna mean the absolute world. Can you
He's writing a book.
Can you hold it up to the
Go.
camera right
Yes,
there?
there you
Yeah.
go.
Oh, great. Thank you, Dean. That's
Fine.
gonna mean
That's
the world
cool.
to her.
That's cool. No, that's
20 years in the making.
that has been that kind of reaction has been one of the really beautiful things about being associated with the program, is that this character, we do events, and I meet women of all ages who come up to the table and talk about how Almanzo was their first crush. Look, there are a lot of guys at that era that were women's first crushes.
Sure.
I'm grateful to be one of those guys.
Yeah,
that
that's
got
how
to
I
be
usually
that
am for...
Yeah. Well,
We hear that
I
a lot.
can see it all over you guys. Yeah. So look, if you'd been on Little House, you would have been a lot of people's first crush. That's just how that would have worked.
Yeah. Oh.
It's just like
I heard
it's as much about where you are as what you are.
Yeah. A few quick questions and we'll wrap up here. I wanted to know a little bit about who you are today. And so we've talked a little
I'm
bit about...
Little House all the time today.
Are you?
Yeah. I wrote a book 2 years ago. It was published in 2024. I've just finished a second
Prairie
book.
Man.
Prairie Man. I got a second book that will come out on Mother's Day of 2027 called Living the Prairie Way. It's a values-oriented book.
Oh, man.
It uses the lessons that Little House teaches to sort of talk about the ways that we could live.
Awesome.
I'm just trying to amplify the messages that the show brought.
Like you talked about earlier, bringing that legacy,
Right.
continuing it.
Right. No, exactly. I mean, as I was sitting watching the tail end of our election in 2024, listening to what was being said and how it was being said, my heart really sank. I just sort of feel like, where are we going?
And so when you look at like today and society, you feel like, and we talk about that circle of control, right? So like you're looking at your circle and what can I do with
What
I'm
can I
given?
do within the little space that I can occupy, that I do occupy? Who can I talk to about this?
What is my
now?
control?
I think most of the people I'm going to be talking to are going to be, largely in sync with my take on these things. But I don't think that there can be enough messaging.
Yeah.
So many people who write have access to a specific kind of an audience. I think as many people as can put those messages out, targeting their audience, That's really important.
Yeah.
I just think it has to be done. We cannot lose touch with civility. We can't lose touch with a commitment to fairness. We can't lose touch with those things
and these values, right? Absolutely. And so I want to thank you for bringing on these values of Little House on the Prairie that I grew up on and that means so much to me. And
no, look, I feel like, and all of us who choose to take that on, we do have a platform through which to speak about certain kinds of things. We can't speak about everything. We do not have a green light to talk about everything. Anyone can talk about anything, but we have some traction in certain areas.
Yeah.
This is an area where we uniquely have some traction.
Yeah.
Cool.
You are married, and you've been married for how many years?
25 years.
Do you have kids?
No.
You don't have any kids?
So we both got married. We got married when we were sort of past that.
Okay. Got it. I wondered, as you were talking about like raising families and the importance of that and how you were raised, I just wondered if any of those values went into that. But
it's funny. I did not have a huge burning desire to be a parent. It just wasn't. I felt like I was such a responsible kid that I wasn't drawn to that role.
Yeah.
I totally, my brother, who was a wild man as a kid, is a wonderful father. He's a father of 4 boys.
So you're Uncle Zeldama.
I'm Uncle Dean. I'm Uncle Dean. And my sister has raised 2 beautiful, a son and a daughter. They're all off on their lives. They're both married. They have children. Well, actually, her son has 2 children, and yes, and then her daughter is getting ready to give birth to her first child.
So when you think about your family and what's important to you, these are the names that come to your head, or your nieces and nephews, and your siblings, and your wife.
I think what's important to me is that we are, as a family, we are part of a multi-generational journey. We are proud of our heritage that we have, and we want to be respectful of that heritage. Look, it's not any huge heritage culturally, or that people would know about, but it is our heritage, and we are proud of it, and we want to preserve it for. We want to honor what came before us, and we want to leave it to those who will follow us.
Yeah, you bet.
And so that's been an important aspect in this family place that we have in Northern California. That's now, since 1885 has been in the family. That place goes on, and that is sort of the center of our larger family life.
That's awesome.
And it's very important to us to keep that going.
Hey, one more question for you. Michael, did you have any more questions?
I'm good.
You're great. Did Albert die?
I don't know. If you listen to the last voiceover, no, he became a doctor. He became Dr. Albert Ingalls.
But
that
wasn't the last voiceover. That was like in the first movie they made where he got sick or he was on drugs. And then 2 episodes later is the one where he dies. Or the next episode is the one where he dies, the next movie. And then the next episode, Walnut Grove gets blown up. So
he's not there for that.
He's not there for that, but the voiceover was Albert eventually grew up and moved to Walnut Grove to be a doctor. But Walnut Grove never existed.
So I think what happened is that writing got done before the reality of what was going to happen to Walnut Grove became apparent to the creative team.
It was clear the last 3 episodes they kind of did as they came, but
the
that's
last
why
3 movies
the
were
last
that.
3 movies.
And it was really the last movie, The Last Farewell, which wasn't the last one that aired, it was
All the Dear Children.
But it was the ending.
Yeah.
NBC inexplicably held the Christmas movie until the following year.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't know quite why they did that, but that's the decision they made. It was their movie; they could do with it what they wanted.
Yeah.
But the series had ended officially with The Last Farewell, and then they aired Bless All the Dear Children after that, and everyone's back in Walnut Grove, and everyone is fine.
Yeah.
You know, so it's there's, I think as a creator, I mean, within an episodes were their own little universe.
Yeah.
There were certainly threads that got pulled through the entire series.
Yeah.
And there was consistency to a lot of things. But I don't think Michael fixated on continuity in the same way that today's drama, you know, when you have a series that drops on Netflix and it's 8 episodes that people are going to binge watch, it all better lock up.
Yeah.
I saw this this TikTok. It said my childhood trauma is this, and it was like a little montage of Albert getting adopted and then dying. And so like everyone in the comments are arguing, he didn't die. So it's a big like internet debate.
Yeah, I don't know whether he did or he didn't.
In your heart,
die.
what's the answer?
I think in my heart, I think I have the sense of the way that was. I think he did die.
Dude.
But the voiceover suggests something else.
Matt Labrato.
Matt is
Maybe
Matt
I'll try
played
and connect with
Albert
him
and Patrick played
Jonathan.
Patrick does a wonderful podcast called The Patrick Labure Show.
How do you say that name?
We always pronounced it Labrato.
Is it French?
I think it is French.
Oui.
It looks like it's French.
Mrs. Olsen could tell us.
Yeah. Natalie, she could tell.
Anyways, all right. Well, you gave me some answers there.
Yeah.
Undone toi.
Undone toi.
One of my goals starting this podcast was I would love to interview some of the cast from that show. Like that was like, and I'm thinking years down the road. I started this podcast last year, and I message and I see 6 months ago, a video of you, and I'm like, it's Almanzo Wilder. He's like, I'm on TikTok now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, I follow you. I shoot you a message. Nothing for months, 4 or 5 months. And then I see another video of you pop up. I'm like, I gotta get this guy. I would love the chance to do this. I start commenting on all your videos and tagging you.
Oh, okay.
Look at my DM, podcast invitation. And then I wake up one morning and it says Dean Butler started following you on TikTok. And then
That would have been Jennifer.
yeah, it would have been Jennifer, and
Yeah,
she
yeah.
messaged me. I knew it wasn't you because it said, hey, Dean does all of his booking, blah, blah, blah. Message Harlan, and I connected with Harlan, and here we are. But
Here we are.
like I said, it's a big deal for me, but
Huge.
Well, you're nice to do it. You're nice to come all this distance from Michigan. You've got a nice weekend in Southern California
We do.
to be here doing this.
This is the highlight, though. So.
this is the highlight right here, yeah.
Oh, it's very.
Yeah.
You got to talk to Allison too. I mean, you know, Allison is an iconic figure in television history.
Isn't she?
I mean, Allison is the most beloved villain in television history.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's an extraordinary, when you look at the people that occupied that space, and there are a lot of really wonderful actors and actresses, or particularly actresses in Allison's case, who occupy this sort of bad girl, mean girl space for a little girl that started in pin curls and, lace dresses. And I mean, wow. It's just extraordinary what she's achieved with this.
And
she
with her-
represents something just iconic to people.
This is a big moment for me, this whole conversation, but a very sincere thank you to your part of creating such an amazing TV show and something that has impacted myself and millions of other people for the last 50 years. We talk about a lot of the talent on the show, but not to brush over the amazing work that you did on the show, and I'm extremely thankful for it.
Weston, that's very kind of you. I'm so grateful that I was the guy that walked in the room and he said yes.
Yeah.
it's really incalculable the impact that Little House has had on my life. The totality of my life, there are Little House elements everywhere. And I think that's what happens when something is as powerful as Little House is. It opens doors in areas that you might never have imagined.
Yeah.
It's just been this remarkable, amazing thing, and it's my intention to continue giving back to it for as long as I'm able.
Wow.
Well, thank you for that. And it's honestly the honor of a lifetime to be sitting here talking with you and talking with Allison earlier. It means the world to me that you gave me this time and you shared your story with me. So
you're so welcome.
Thank you,
Weston and Michael, thanks for having me.
You bet.
Good luck
Thanks
with
for
your
being on.
podcast.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.